Okay, you guys.
The truth about.
It's the most clickbaity header ever. The truth about off-market properties. But here's what I was thinking. Everyone, I feel like when we're in buyer's consults and we bring it up, buyers are like salivating about it. And I understand why. We'll talk about it. But then I was like, it's not really all it's cracked up to be.
I disagree.
Oh, let's get into it.
I disagree.
I mean, it can be, but I think it's like a reality check for people.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
I have a client that's in an off-market property right now.
Yeah.
In escrow. It's not going well, so they decided to call me and say, help.
Oh, really? They were trying to do it on
without you?
Without me, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, well, there's your first problem.
Well, so that's a whole nother element of this.
It's true.
That's true.
Because I was thinking of this only from the direction of like off market that we find.
Oh, yeah, I know.
As an agent, as a brokerage.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we can go into that too. Should we?
Or should we? Let's start with the beginning.
Okay.
Why would someone sell their property off market?
Yeah, Jeff. Well,
what you have, like your point you have written down is good. It's like people don't want a lot of showings. They're very private.
Yeah.
They don't want their house online because there is like very little privacy when you're selling your house. Like your pictures on your walls and everything, people can see through the pictures and see everything about like how you live.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of the work that needs to happen that you feel like needs to happen before you put it online.
Yep.
Is a little stressful.
Yep.
That might be why someone might decide to do that or think they need to do that.
Yep.
I love the thought of it. When I went to sell a house, the thought of somebody coming in, being willing to pay what you want for it. You're committed from day one. You're not going through the process of trying to figure it out. Usually there's a reason they're coming to you in the first place. You know the other agent, or you feel, it's a contact. Like it feels like there's an ease to it that is appealing. Like I understand why people would be drawn to it. Have you had off-market listings? Have you put deals? You have.
Yeah.
What were the reasons in those ones?
It's usually convenience and ease. Mm-hmm. And usually they don't care as much about money. They're just, all they care about is like the simplicity of this transaction. Mm-hmm. Ironically, I don't know if it's that much simpler just having to deal with one party because of so many different reasons we can get into, but I don't think it's actually that much simpler besides the showings.
Yeah.
For like, if you price it well for like a week or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your showings can be a hassle, right? Open houses and all that. You're having to leave your house often on short notice, and is it picked up enough or not? So I understand that part.
Your second point though about like testing the market, I actually think is really wise.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Jeff.
So what would that be? What would explain how we do that? Okay.
So somebody calls us and says, I think like you're having this conversation right now. I think, well, I want to sell, but maybe next year. But if I got an offer now that was right, I'd probably take it. And so they don't feel like they're ready now, but they would also be curious to test the market to see if it'll support the price they want. So
it's a commitment to sell that you're skipping the commitment, but then if it's great, if you happen to find the right one, you figure it out.
And what that looks like practically to the consumer is we can market off market just to our brokerage. Mm-hmm. Luckily, Keller Williams is huge, so we can market to a lot of people, but they're kind of like, just talk around, see if someone might know somebody who this would fit the bill. And I get texts about that all the time, actually. Mm-hmm. Even this morning I got a text. Hey, Jeff, you have anything coming up or know anybody that wants to sell this price range in Grover and AG?
Yeah, because agents, we have big buyer pools. Mm-hmm. So the chances of us or someone in our brokerage knowing a buyer who that would probably be a good fit for.
Yeah.
Not uncommon.
That's kind of like a good way to test the market. I think that's wise a lot of times, especially if someone's wanting to go high. Yeah. And they're like, the comps aren't supporting it. You're like, okay, well, yeah, let's go ahead and test the market and see what happens. And then it's not going to hurt you with days on market or anything else like that. And then we'll go live at a price that we both agree to after we've tested the market a little bit. Yeah. So if somebody thinks their house is worth 1.5 and we really think 1.2, I just want to like double click on what you were just saying, because it's really a good point. Like if you put it on the market at 1.5 and then the market speaks and it's like all of a sudden months down the road, we know that houses with price reductions take 2 to 4 times longer to sell. Like that's a stat. Yeah.
And so, yeah, you don't want to eat up days on market and have all that, because then people start thinking, man, what's wrong with this place? Why won't it sell? And even if it's just price, but even if it's price, people have all these other thoughts around the home that may or may not be true. So yeah, it's on the market for a long time. So by testing the market off market, you can see, okay, is the house actually worth 1.5 or is it worth what we think 1.2?
Yeah.
And then if you don't get bites on it, granted you have a limited buyer pool though, right? Sure. Because you can't show it to the entire market. And that's the advantage of going on market, is you have way more eyes on your house.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's testing the market.
Which usually drives the price up.
Yep.
Okay, so that's seller point of view.
Yes.
Those are the reasons that they would go off market. What about buyer point of view? Why would a buyer want to buy off market?
I know why.
I know why too. What
Why,
do you think?
why do you
1,
think,
2, 3. Who's running the show?
Yeah, sorry, boss.
Yeah, boss.
I have the jacket on. You have to.
Power jacket.
So yeah, I think, most buyers like the appeal of off market for one reason, they're not competing.
Mm-hmm.
2, they think the seller is kind of bound to them because there's not a backup. So the buyer feels like they're in a stronger negotiation position. And then 3, typically because they think they're getting a better price than they would be getting otherwise if the house is on the market, which is typically true.
Yeah.
So the seller is typically like, hey, I'm, okay coming in a little less if I'm not going to do these showings. Now, it's not like $100K less typically. It's
no.
like 10, 15. It's not, or maybe 2% or something. Like,
yeah.
It's not these huge numbers that a lot of times buyers come to me thinking they're going to get.
Well, I think that is a conversation we have even with buyers with homes on market, is setting expectations about, because buyers want a deal. And I understand it, especially in the market that we're in. The, median home price is high, affordability is low, it's tough. And so you want to get a deal. But the reality is, when you look at average list price to sales price in SLO County, it's like 99%. Mm-hmm. So you're going to end up paying about what it's listed at. Now that's an average, so there's some go higher, some go lower, but I think that's an expectation that we try to set. And it's like, then the pushback is, gosh, what, isn't that your job, is to get me a deal? It's like, our job is to secure you the home. Like that's what we want to do. And really what I think professional agents, we really negotiate on terms, because if the price is going to be it's going to be what the market supports, and 99%, list of sales. So we want to really work on terms. So we're having those expectation conversations with buyers when we're approaching on market, and what's reasonable or not. And same thing with off market.
And terms are how you went on price too, by the way.
Yeah.
Like 100%, right? So, the one we just closed today, we had 4 other offers, and we wrote really competitive timelines for contingencies and everything else.
Yep.
And it was like that security allowed us to get our offer accepted. And they were pushing for a bidding war. When they pushed for that bidding war, we only went up 5K, which I know 5K is 5K, but like, that's not typically where you see a bidding war go to. We're like, this is where we're at, boom. And we're just going to tighten up our contingencies a little bit. Mm-hmm. So the terms is it. Like, if you want to win, terms.
I think we're going into a market though, especially with interest rates coming down, where that competition is like, it's a dangerous thing once you get into it. Yeah. So to be able to secure a property, to me, even if it's off market, if I pay more than what maybe it would have been listed at, it's still more secure than going in with all the other people with a buildup of, needs. We have all these people who want to buy homes, and it is going to be, floodgates are going to be opened. So I still think there's a value in the off market of knowing that you have the property.
Totally.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I think the off market, if you're a buyer and you can get an off market property, that's so great. But the needle in the haystack, it's tremendously, and this is what we do. We try to match people to off market properties all the time. Like, it's like, hey, we've got this off market. We try to connect them. Mm-hmm. Like, that's something that we even call, or like what we call circle dialing around like properties that we have. And then we'll find people like, yeah, if you give me the right offer, and then you show like potential buyers that, and it's rare that the buyer's like, this is the one.
Yeah.
But once in a while. So typically a lot of the off market stuff we see are like for example, I have a potential listing, but it might be sold off market because the friend of the seller is interested. So that's typically where we see it. The matchmaking is pretty challenging. To be realistic, it's pretty challenging, and it's a hunt. It's a constant hunt. So, if you do around a listing, let's say you get on a good day 3 potentials. If we got the right price, we might consider selling. Then you match them up with a buyer, and then out of those 3, one buyer likes it, and then they don't get the price they want. They go, "Oh, we thought we could get more." It's like it's a lot of work, and potentially could not work out. Like, so that is, even though we do that that's a service we perform. It is the matchmaking is very difficult.
Yeah, and we're honest with buyers. Like, this is a service we provide, but it's a long shot.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things have to happen.
Right.
Had one in Santa Maria last year where, the person renting the home wanted to buy the home. So that was like an off-market opportunity there. So it was so much easier.
That's another way. Like, a lot of those off markets are the renters. They get comfortable and they go, and I actually suggest this to like all renters, like, talk to your landlord first before you go on the search. If you like your house that you're at, say, hey, like, could we do a rent to own, or could we give you a really great offer? We would even be willing to pay a little bit over market just to lock this thing up and, try to get that house. Yeah. And you don't have to pay for the moving costs and all that.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a needle in the haystack. It is a thing. And I think there's also this allure to it for buyers. Like, I got the deal. I got the off market. Like, there's a pride component of that. That's kind of cool.
There is,
but it's hard to do. So for sellers, what's the downside?
Sorry, I was just totally thinking about something else. Because I think, sorry.
What were you thinking about? Let's go there.
Because I was thinking about the numbers. I talked to Christina before I came here, because I'm like, how many, we do, she said anywhere between 2 and 6 off-market deals a month.
Really?
That's more than I would have thought.
So, because I'm thinking of it from my point of view, I'm like walking through the halls and I hear people talking about what's coming available, like what, so it's not just like, I like what you're saying, because you guys do work hard reaching out to the community, reaching out to, property owners and all that stuff. But then there's also that aspect of like agent to agent.
Oh, that's so
matchmaking.
Good. That's a great point, because that's a lot of it too.
Yeah. Who you know, they're looking, and even testing out price with each other. Like, hey, I have this off-market opportunity, like, out of all the buyers you're working with, like, what do you think about, what would they be willing to pay? Like, that's such a
That's the difference between like the agents that like network and are in the office and like talking to each other, and then those that just don't.
Yeah. Out there on their own. There really is value to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. What was the question?
Oh, so then the challenges, we talked about the challenges for the buyers. It's hard to find that, an off-market property that, they'd be willing to do that take the price that you like and all that kind of stuff. So
the disadvantage for the seller
what is that?
To me, it comes down to, if I were the seller and I price my home competitively, I know that I have kind of in my back pocket some other buyers. So when I'm doing negotiations, I'm kind of driving the boat, and so to speak. And then it's like, if you have the inspections and everything already, like, this happens a lot, where either my seller will either pay for the inspections or the buyer will. I will take those inspections, and if they're negotiating hard on the request for repairs, I'll send them to the other buyers and be like, hey, this is where we're at. Anybody want to like step in here and take over this? Like, we can cancel escrow and we can move forward with somebody else. And that takes like all the power away from the buyer.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of leverage.
Gives you a lot of leverage. And the seller's like, great, I feel very comfortable because I have this other person who's saying, yes, I want to do this. I want to move forward with this purchase. And then they go, okay, cool. And then the seller gets more money, or it has to do less repairs. One of those two things. So, and typically it just forces the buyer who's in to not have, just basically they say, yeah, we'll release our contingencies and we'll move forward, like with a few small repairs. So for the seller, typically they net a lot more.
And the seller's starting back at zero if it doesn't work out with the buyer they went into contract.
Yeah, then it's all over. You got to do pictures. You got to do everything from the beginning.
Yeah. So typically with off market, the sellers will net less.
Typically, I would say so, yeah.
But
because it's really hard to tell them how much less, because you're going off comps.
It could cost less.
It could cost less.
So it's like,
it could cost less because you're just maybe paying one agent. It could be a few things, but I will give you a great case in point on this. I had a seller was at 580. This is like a house that needed a lot of work. They wanted to sell for 580. And when we listed it, it was like a week of quiet, and then it blew up. This is maybe a year and a half ago. It blew up and it went to like almost 650 or something, right? We thought that the comps demonstrated a 580 to 600 purchase price. We would have left $50,000 on the table. Not everyone is like that. Most aren't, but you don't know because people get excited about certain houses. There's like that cute factor or whatever they see in it. It's by the school that I want my kids to go to, whatever that is. And if it's the one that 3 or 4 people are wanting, they will bid on that thing and drive it up.
And we talked about, with getting a price that the market will support, but we saw it a few years ago and it sounds like we'll see it again soon, where you get a price that the market doesn't support in the sense that the purchase price is higher than what the property will appraise at, which is a safety net for the buyer. But then we were seeing buyers remove that appraisal or have an appraisal gap, things like that, where it's like, I know I'm going to pay more than the market will support. And the only way you'd really, well, I don't say the only way, it would be very rare for that to happen on an off market. So you put your home on the market, so you get way more of the market seeing the home, and that competition can drive the price up. Yeah. Not always, but it
allows for the opportunity.
It allows for the opportunity. That's a good way to say it. Yeah. So challenges for the buyer on off market, tough to find.
But I think you're winning if you're the buyer that finds an off market. Typically.
Yeah, totally. Benefit is you typically get a better price. You're the only one competing.
And that's not even fair for the seller, because if the seller really values their privacy and just is terrified of showings or whatever, then they're winning also. Yeah, that's
true. We can't always consider the purchase price to be the win, because there's other considerations. There's other things people care about, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Even we say it like an ease of selling as though it's like a luxury, but there are people that it's time, energy, and money to sell your home. It is. No matter how great your agent is, you do have to spend time on selling your home. So to kind of alleviate that for people who work out of town all the time, for people who have there's tons of reasons why. I don't want to just bypass it of being like, I just want the easy way out. It's the ease. It's like there are some actual sincere reasons that people need to list that way or need to sell that way.
Yep, absolutely.
Booyah.
There's the truth about off-market properties.
Bobbie has spoken.
All right, we covered all?
I think so, man.
So.
That was a nice little podcast there, bro.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
You too.